Well, we might get starting a little bit late. I'd like to welcome everyone to our council meeting for the 8th of November. We have everyone present. We do have an apology from Alderman Sexton, and I think Councillor Fox will be on their way very soon. I don't think we've got an apology from them, no. I'd like to advise everyone that we are live streaming this meeting. The audio and video of the meeting is available to the community via YouTube. And for the purposes of the recording, elected members should wait for myself to announce them before speaking. And I request that all mobile devices be turned off or put to silent. So moving on to the acknowledgement to country. So in recognition of the deep history and culture of this place, I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land upon which the city of Hobart was built. I acknowledge the determination and resilience of the Palawa people of Tasmania, who have survived invasion and dispossession and continue to maintain their identity, culture and rights. The minutes of our last meeting, 25th of October, moved by Deputy Lord Mayor.
So moved, Lord Mayor.
Second by Alderman Barakis. All those in favour say aye. Against say no. Carried unanimously. Transfer of agenda items. Are there any items proposed to be transferred on the open or closed? There being none, move to communications from the Chair. So I do have a special communication this week. So as part of the 2021 Children's Week activities, Hobart schools were invited to participate in a Hobart Children's Mayor program. The program aimed to provide more engagement and learning opportunities for primary school children, giving them a greater understanding of the role of local government, the democratic process and the role of the Lord Mayor and elected members. Students of Hobart primary schools were invited to submit a short manifesto or proposal outlining how they would make Hobart a better city. The Commissioner for Children and Young People joined a panel comprising our CEO, officers from our children and families area, the Deputy Lord Mayor and myself, to select the Children's Mayor and Deputy Mayor from those ones that were submitted, which I think was from about 17 Hobart schools. The winning students have joined us both this afternoon, and they have been also meeting with officers this afternoon to talk about their ideas. So both of them are with us tonight, and I welcome them here. Welcome to the council meeting. I'd like to first of all introduce the Children's Mayor, which is Alex Johnston, and he is a Year 6 student from Lansdowne Crescent Primary. And Alex is now going to read his idea to the council. And after Alex has read his idea, if you'd like to ask questions, he's open to those as well.
If I were Lord Mayor of the City of Hobart, I would help reduce global warming. As you probably know, car emissions create lots of exhaust that deteriorate our atmosphere. This is horrible. Our children and grandchildren will be living in a wasteland caused by our own greed. So I propose the creation of the electric bike. The electric bike stations would be situated around town. This would encourage people to stop using their cars. You would be able to walk up to a station, enter a metro card and set a deposit. And then you would get a bike which you could use for free unless return late to its station. People would have to pay a fine if not returned in time to the station. Using a GPS tracker, the council could track down bikes that have been left not in the right place. The stations would also have solar panels to charge the bikes and therefore would reduce the cost of electricity. The type of bike I chose is lightweight, which means it's easier to carry around, has 40 kilometres of charge. You can also fit a pannier rack and child seat on the bike. This means it's more useful to different groups of people. My idea would benefit tourism industries, giving tourists a way to travel around Hobart easily. Secondly, it would help the people of Hobart to become fitter. There are 137,600 overweight Tasmanians, 35.2% of the population. 26,400 obese Tasmanians, 32.3% of Tasmanians. This means altogether 264,200 people in Tasmania are obese or overweight. This means that 2 in 3 people are overweight or obese, and I know my idea will reduce this number. Thirdly, it would also benefit businesses with little to no parking. And lastly, my idea would help lots of people all over the world because global warming affects millions of people every day.
Thank you, Alex. Now, I think we might, first, before we move to questions, we might hear from Edie Tracy, Year 6 from Lena Valley Primary School, on her idea as the Deputy Children's Mayor.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Edie and I'm from Lena Valley Primary. If I were Lord Mayor of City of Hobart, I'll create a 360-degree cycle to seal the loop of recycling in Hobart by creating an all-accessible soft plastics recycling system. That's a bit of a mouthful, so I just named my manifesto Hobart 360, Closing the Loop. Australia, along with many other countries across the world, have a major plastic pollution problem. We produce 2.5 million tonnes of plastic waste each year. This has been getting worse since the start of the pandemic, with even higher use of single-use plastics such as PPE, coffee cups and bottled water. This needs to change. Some people already recycle soft plastics from their home via bins at Woolworths and Coles, which is great, but getting soft plastics to Woolworths and Coles or other businesses adds an extra step, putting some people off it entirely. However, this problem would be eliminated if each household had its own fourth wheelie bin just for soft plastics. Hobart City Council could partner with RedCycle, just as Woolworths and Coles have, to collect and store soft plastics weekly. RedCycle then sends the soft plastics off to another place called Replas, which turns them into environmentally friendly items to be used by the community, such as park benches, exercise equipment, signs and many more. If Hobart City were to partner with RedCycle, they could collect the rubbish and take it to Replas just as Woolworths and Coles do. And all we Hobartians need to do is simply sort out our soft plastics just as we do with our recycling. It'll only take us 1 minute each day, and in the end a small change like this can result in a big change over time. And a big change is what we need. At this rate, one day our world will not be livable for future generations, so why doesn't Hobart take the first step towards a cleaner future for our world and inspire other towns, cities and maybe one day countries to do the same? But it all starts with one thing, creating Recycling 360 and sealing the loop.
Thank you, Alex and Edie. Now, are there any questions from the floor? Councillor Harvey.
I'd like to know what happens when we've all got a plastic park bench in our house. What do we do with the plastics then? How do we keep going and going and going until we end up with park benches everywhere?
Well, it could be used for other things like decking and soccer goals, that's a good one. And even roads. So it doesn't necessarily have to be for one thing, and we can end up using it for like lots of different things.
Mm-hmm. And is that ultimately going to solve the problem, or do we need to go to the source of the problem?
It will eventually need to go further and do something more, but it's a good start.
Thank you.
Councillor Sherlock.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciated listening to what you both had to say, so well done. Thank you very much. My question is actually to Alex. You talked about the Metro card that you could possibly use for the electric bike. What if you didn't have a Metro card? What else would be another option?
You could maybe use small change, like $1 or $2, and just put a deposit in so that when you return it, it can give you some back, and the stations can carry change in them so that it can give you your money back no matter where you go.
Councillor Dusher.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. congratulations to both of you. And my question is to the Lord Mayor. The electric bike that you talked about, what if senior citizens like me are not able to ride the bike? And secondly, will it take the weight of overweight people, that bike you're talking about?
Like Jeff and I.
Riding a bike is pretty simple, and it is an electric bike, so it can help you through trickier situations. The bikes are generally quite strong and could sustain people riding around and using them daily.
Yes, thank you for Alex and Edie. It's really great and your confidence in presenting to us is pretty impressive as well. I've got just one simple question with Alex, and it's the scrutiny we give to anyone with ideas, and I think your idea is really good. Is how would you make helmets available?
Helmets could be attached to stations or the bikes and maybe unlocked when the bike is selected or people have put money in.
Thank you very much.
Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you to the Children's Lord Mayor and the Children's Deputy Lord Mayor for such amazing proposals. I really appreciate the work that's gone into it and for all the participants. To you, Children's Lord Mayor, just in relation, you talk very much about the health aspects with this proposal, as well as the aspects to the benefits to the environment. Why are the health aspects so important to you?
Because, as I said, there are lots of people overweight or obese, which is very bad for your health and can often lead to death. And it also funds the other thing I was talking about, pollution. Because lots of obese people or overweight people become quite addicted to fast food and snacks such as that, which often have lots of plastic wrapping and stuff, which also is detrimental to the environment.
Any further questions or comments for our Children's Mayor and Deputy? There being none, then I would just like to thank Alex and Edie. Thank you so much for your proposals. These proposals were the standouts because of the research work that both of them did for their proposals, and their written applications were very well and clearly written, very good grammar and plain English, so they were both excellent policy proposals. I think they've had a good afternoon talking with officers about some of their ideas, and there will be a report that's prepared on this initiative, and it will be going to a future CACEC meeting in the next couple of months. But once again, thank you so much for your contribution tonight. You're welcome to stay at the and listen to more of the meeting if you'd like, or just want to say thanks again for participating in this program. Thank you.
Their proposals are received and noted on our agenda, on our minutes. Sorry.
So, Councillor, Alderman, moved by Alderman Zuko, seconded by Alderman Barakis, that the proposals be received and noted. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against say no. That's carried unanimously. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Okay, now we'll move on to public question time. So I think we have a public question, and I'll invite Ms. Jane Wilson to come forward and read out her question.
Thanks, Lord Mayor, for the opportunity to ask this question. Councillors, CEO. Okay, my question is for the CEO, Ms. Jodie Grigsby. My concern lies with the City of Energy's Riding the Mountain plan that dates back to 24th October 2020, which involves the staged construction of 20 new mountain bike tracks, total 37 kilometres, in the foothills of Penani's Eastern Face. I asked a question on the 11th of October in 4 parts, that on the 6th of September 2021, Council approved its own development application for the construction of 3 of the new tracks proposed in this plan: Rocky Whelan, Free Whelan and Skid Road. I believe you want to postpone Riding the Mountain track construction CEO pending review of Riding the Mountain. My question today is a follow-up to one of the answers I received to one of the 4 parts of my question on the 11th of October. That question I asked, which was part 2, and I quote, "Can I be provided with evidence that shows that the Riding the Mountain public consultation process sought and obtained input from representative samples of all the different types of Kanani's recreational users, including walkers?" Unquote. Your answer referred me to the Council report of the 15th of October 2020, and in particular to attachment B. This report is actually item 6.2 in the agenda of the Parks and Rec meeting of 15th of October. There are a number of criticisms that can be made about the Riding the Mountain public consultation process, otherwise known as the community engagement process, as conducted by City Amenity. Not the least of these is that the surveys used online, respondents self-selected and could respond multiple times and did not need to identify themselves, that is, they were anonymous. On this basis alone, it can be concluded that respondents to the Riding the Mountain survey are unlikely to be a representative sample of Kanani users. Attachment C of that Park and Rec agenda notes that 596 survey responses were received across the 3 surveys, with 423 responses to the rider survey, 104 responses to the walker survey, and 59 responses to the runner survey. I note that with respect, the manager Bushland provided these figures to a local newspaper, presumably as evidence that the public consultation process was valid. Mercury, 7th of September, page 3. But it's immediately obvious, looking at the figures, that the surveys did not capture a representative sample of walkers who used Kanani at any one time. For City Amenity to assert that capturing the responses of only 104 walkers in this context is capturing a representative sample of walkers is patently ridiculous. And I know that these walkers...
Ms Wilson, can you get to the questions, please?
Yes, this is the question. These walkers could also have been mountain bike riders. So, CEO, in the light of my above comments, I'm asking you how the Riding the Mountain public consultation process can be viewed as valid by Council. How does it stack up against the requirements of Council's community engagement framework guidelines? Thanks.
Thank you. Now, because the question is directed to the CEO, I will ask the CEO to respond.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you for your question. It is a detailed question, and so therefore I do have a detailed response that I will provide to you, of course, in writing. So firstly, as you acknowledge, the City has undertaken extensive consultation in the development of the Riding the Mountain plan, which has been detailed in a number of meetings and responses to date. You are correct, Ms Wilson, in your statement that community engagement undertaken for this project did not yield a representative sample. The engagement report did not, of course, make this claim. The engagement process provided the opportunity for any interested person to provide feedback on the project, and extensive efforts were made to ensure that people had that opportunity. While the majority of the respondents were from the mountain bike community, each user group was given the opportunity to provide feedback through user-specific surveys, direct contact, notifications on social media, print media and postings on the lower foothills walking track and trail heads. The engagement results were reported by a respondent group rather than as overall statistics. This was done to ensure that the views of each user group were clearly articulated in the engagement report. Engagement opportunities for the project were broadly promoted to casual and stakeholders within the community, including newspaper advertising and indeed social media. The engagement process for this project does adhere to the principles and objectives within the City's community engagement policy and framework, which seeks to ensure everyone who may be affected by a decision has the opportunity to have their say. The objectives of the policy are clearly outlined in our framework. Whilst the sample of survey respondents is not statistically representative, The project has provided ample opportunity for those who wish to participate to do so. Feedback was reported in such a way that views of all user groups were clearly represented. So I do thank you, Lord Mayor, through you, Ms Wilson, for your question, and I will provide that follow-up response in writing to you. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have responses to public questions taken on notice. If someone could move that, Deputy Lord Mayor. Seconded by Councillor Sherlock. All those in favour say aye. Against say no. Carried unanimously. Are there any petitions?
There are nil, Lord Mayor.
Supplementary items. There are no supplementary items in the open meeting. Item 8 is indications of pecuniary or conflicts of interest. Do any elected members wish to indicate an interest in any item appearing on the open council agenda? There being none, we'll move on now to the City Planning Committee, and I'll invite Deputy Lord Mayor to open 9.1, 66 Alexander Street, Sandy Bay.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. This is for 3 multiple dwellings and front fencing, and it is recommended by the Committee for Refusal. So moved.
Seconded by Alderman Briscoe.
Lord Mayor, you might remember that 66 Alexander Avenue, or Alexander Street, Sandy Bay, did have an application for multiple dwellings previously. That was refused by council, but it was appealed and was successful in going ahead. So at the moment, if you walk past that site, you'll see that there is works undertaken in relation to that application, but here we have a subsequent application in relation to an application for 3 multiple dwellings and front fencing. This, you might say, caused some consternation with representatives, the 16 representations from neighbours in particular, who were concerned about various aspects in relation to this application, this second application. The officer's recommendation was for approval, but the grounds for refusal were put forward by the committee and was subsequently what is presented on this agenda tonight. There were subsequent moves by the applicant to try and put the setback slightly, make the setback slightly greater at the front of the house or at the front of the property, and also subsequently change where the parking was, which would be between the front of the proposed dwellings and between the front fence. There was some improvements with the streetscape, but the memos that have come through from Ms Abbey in response to that is that it would probably invoke a new application. It's somewhat different. If not, it may even invoke refusal. So it's suggested that we stick with the refusal that is before us, which gives clear grounds in relation to why this is unacceptable.
Further discussion? No further discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against say no. Aye. All those in favour, show of hands.
Councillor Harvey, Councillor Dutta, Councillor Sherlock, Councillor Coates, Councillor Fox, Alderman Briscoe, the Deputy Lord Mayor and the Lord Mayor.
Against?
Alderman Zuko, Alderman Barakis and Alderman Thomas. That's carried, Lord Mayor. 8 votes to 3.
Okay, moving on now to item 10, Asset Management Policy and Strategy. This is the City Infrastructure Committee. Councillor Harvey.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Item 10, Asset Management Policy and Strategy Updates. The recommendation is that the the updated asset management policy and strategy as marked as attachment A and B respectively to item 6.1 of the City Infrastructure Committee agenda of the 27th of October 2021 be approved. The details. The asset management policy and strategy has now undergone a review related to the asset management specific provisions under Section 70C and 70D of the Local Government Act 1993. It's recommended that the minor amendments in relation to the policy be approved in respect to the following. Merging sporting fields into Parks Asset Group by forming a new asset group, Parks and Sporting Fields, and update the icons for the new information. The strategy has also undergone a review, and it's recommended that the following amendments in relation to the strategy be approved. Updated asset values for the City of Hobart after re-evaluation of two major asset categories, road and stormwater. Updated values also include subdivision takeover and capital works performed. Updated strategic asset management process by further aligning asset management information system with individual processes and updating the responsibilities of key stakeholders to support better decisions and meet service standards. And the final part is updated strategic asset management governance with the recent changes in the City of Hobart organisation. If you have any questions, please direct them to the Director.
Second one.
Second by Councillor Sherlock. Any discussion? No discussion? I'll put that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against say no. Carried unanimously. Item 11, Councillor Harvey.
Item 11, 48 to 50 Newtown Road Hospital Development, commuter parking and active travel plan. The recommendation...
Seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor.
The recommendation to the Council is that the actions of Council officers be noted and the item be marked as complete on the status report. Part 2, the Chief Executive Officer ensure that an active travel plan in accordance with the resolution of March the 9th, 2021 is completed and submitted to Council. Part B, that a report comes back to Council in relation to including active travel plans into the planning approval system for large developments over a certain size. Lord Mayor, the history of this is an amendment during the discussion with regard to the hospital, that the hospital should look at active travel plans for their staff. However, there is no hospital, so it's hard to develop an active travel plan for something that doesn't exist yet. However, when it does exist, we should look again at whether or not we can help them to implement an active travel plan so that it'll take the pressure off the local streets, or we just know how the traffic will flow in the area. So I think there's advantages with active travel plans, but not until the facility is operational. But the second part also I think is important, that we actually look at how we can approach active travel plans in the future for big businesses that attract a lot of workers. So we had a process a number of years ago, I think, through your commitment to this, to look at active travel plans so that we can work out what's the best options for people to be arriving in the city or coming to the city or getting themselves to the city, and understanding how the workforce operates and whether or not an active travel plan would help reduce congestion and provide better transport efficiencies in Hobart. So that second part I think's quite a good inclusion in this motion.
Further discussion? Put that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against say no. Carried unanimously. Item 12 is the Community Culture and Events Committee. Invite Councillor Sherlock.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Look, this is a really wonderful initiative that's come to the committee. Just as a background, Orange Sky has been providing a free mobile laundry service for people experiencing homelessness within Greater Hobart since 2016.
Second.
Second by Councillor Harvey.
The recent relocation of the Hobart City Mission Safe Space night program from the Youth Arc to Davey Street has resulted in a lack of suitable and safe location for Orange Sky to support safe space clients. Orange Sky have proposed to operate 2 hours of a Thursday evening from the Hobart Town Hall parking deck. The Town Hall parking deck provides a safe, central and easily accessible location for Orange Sky to provide their service to safe space clients and other people experiencing homelessness. This location would also provide enough space for other support services such as emergency food providers to link with Orange Sky. Thank you.
Any discussion? I'll put that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against say no. Carried unanimously. Item 13, Safe City Hub. Councillor Sherlock.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So I won't go too much into the report, but we actually had a really great overview from the director about this. But just as an overview, the Safe City Hub initiative focuses on community safety, asset protection and crime prevention to provide incident response and on-demand video request services. It was developed in response to the Connected Hobart Smart City Action Plan and the City of Hobart Strategic Plan 2019 to 29. The Safe City Hub was an initiative funded jointly by the City and the Commonwealth Safer Community Round 5 Infrastructure Grant Program. The multifaceted major security infrastructure investment project includes the installation of public safety cameras across key Hobart sites, the installation of the Safe City Hub on level 3 of the council annex, and the acquisition of multiple mobile safety camera units. Funding provided by the Commonwealth enabled the design and installation of the Safe City Hub, monitoring equipment, video management, software and back-end recording servers. The Safe City Hub will provide coverage for sites of significance including Salamanca, Hobart Waterfront, Hobart Street Mall, major city intersections and North Hobart to ensure ongoing community safety, asset protection and crime prevention. Thank you.
Further discussion? Deputy Lord Mayor.
Lord Mayor, I'd like to ask a question through you to the CEO or to the appropriate officer, just in relation to staffing the service and also the ongoing costs associated with that. Have we got an idea? And forgive me for not referring to the report if it's loud and clear in that report.
Mr. Carr, would you like to respond?
Yes, through you, Lord Mayor. So the staffing for the Safe City Hub, there's 2 dedicated staff that we have. We have a principal advisor, City Security, and we have a project officer for City Security. And so the Safe City Hub has 2 functions, has an operational function which only comes into play when there's something to investigate or a major event going on in the city. All other times it operates as a business as usual centre that manages the identity and access control function for council. So in terms of ongoing operational costs, it's for our 2 full-time staff which we've had before the hub.
Just a subsequent question, if I may. So is that, through you to Mr. Carr, is that an ongoing cost, or does the federal government pay for some of that?
Through you, Lord Mayor. The staff costs are councils and always have been, but there's no additional costs beyond the staff costs, and the federal government have contributed $1 million in terms of the Safer Communities Round 5 grant, of which we've expended probably around $400,000 so far. That grant applies over 3 years, so no additional ongoing costs to council.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yes, Lord Mayor.
I need a seconder for the motion, actually. Alderman Brackus.
Lord Mayor, this seems to have happened in quite good time. I remember the announcement. When was that? Oh, it seems like just the other day. Yep. When the minister came down and spoke to this down at Salamanca, and there was some installation going on at the time, and it's all happened quite fast, and I commend the officers for getting it up and running so quickly, and I also look forward to the opportunity for the councillors to inspect the facility at some point in time at the appropriate moment.
Okay, I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against say no. Carried unanimously. Item 14, Councillor Sherlock.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lord Mayor. Look, the repurpose of the funding aims to provide meaningful support to the creative industries by awarding more grants at a greater value.
Seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor.
An arts advisory group was established to support the sector during COVID and to assist in ensuring the Creative Hobart grant streams were targeted to achieve the best outcome for the arts community. The arts advisory group provided 3 recommendations. It's in the report, but just to recap: offer more grants of a higher amount resulting in fewer projects, but providing more opportunities to employ and engage artists to develop work and engage the community. Focus funding towards projects that directly employ artists and creative practitioners to produce new work. Better support grant recipients and navigate council processes. So the sector continues to face hardship as a result of the pandemic and the reduced opportunities to perform or exhibit their work. Based on this success from the Hobart Quick Response Grant, it is recommended that these identified improvements be adopted for the foreseeable future.
Any discussion? No discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against say no. Carried unanimously. Item 15. Councillor Sherlock. Seconded by Councillor Dutta.
Yes, thank you very much, Lord Mayor. I suppose this is a really interesting one for everyone. We had Mr. Nation and somebody else come and do a presentation for us, an absolutely fabulous presentation about the overview, the marketing, all the work that had gone into it, the collaboration with the state government, the support from the Hobart City Council itself. It was just really, really wonderful to see that something like this and an event such as this is actually still going to come to fruition and that we're all working together. As the owner, manager and organisation responsible for delivering the Taste of Tasmania for 31 years, Council has many event assets and documents that support the delivery of a large-scale event. City officers have been working closely with Taste of Summer organisers to ensure the event is number 1, highly successful, 2, adds vibrancy to the city over summer, and 3, stimulates social and economic benefits for the Hobart local government area and Tasmania more broadly. Taste of Summer organisers have requested the use of council assets, including equipment, installation, infrastructure, use of council venues, city banners and road closures. The request for equipment falls into 2 broad categories, and I think it's really important that I outline what these broad categories are, so just in case. The equipment normally available for hire and appearing in council's fees and charges. Event equipment requested includes umbrellas, tables and bench seats, water refill stations, waterfront fencing, kitchens, cool rooms, kiosks, bin covers, bean bags, and they are just a few of the items that we'll be covering, and that is to the total of the 324.84. It is obviously over that amount, which is what I'm going to go into now, which is the number 2 of the stream, which is a range of equipment that has been that has been at the site and event specific to Council's Taste of Tasmania and is therefore not normally available for hire, and as a result has no nominated hire fee. However, given the nature of the Taste of Summer, it is entirely appropriate that Council allow the use of the equipment as part of the in-kind support of the event. Under Section 77 of the Local Government Act, Council is required to provide detail of any grant, assistance or benefit provided. Accordingly, a notional value of $100,000 has been ascribed to these additional equipment, which includes, for example, rainbow and green coloured AstroTurf, forklift, carpet spike, Astro covered furniture, lawn chairs and accessible chairs, flowers, flower garland, terrorism mitigation blocks, signage infrastructure. I'm just really going to go into this because I really want to be specific about this. Cigarette bins, sinks, water tanks, concrete blocks, crate of wooden chopped blocks, wheelchair ramps, waterfront bunting, container ramps, rooftop planter boxes, apple crates, containers, which is plumbing, electrical toolbox, cleaning, signage, green room, and turf. Miscellaneous, track mat, warden kits and children's games. It's a lot that we are providing in-kind support. And it's really, really wonderful that we are doing this. Pinpoint Group would be required to pay for the transportation of equipment to and from the 2021-22 Taste of Summer event, as well as to pay for the installation of equipment by the city's fabrication team and nominated contractors. Further, a full fee waiver for the hire of the Salamanca lawns is also included, which is at around $10,500. Fee waivers for equipment and venue hires totalling $430,984 and covers the two streams that I have just talked about in detail. Partial fee waivers for the Civic Banner program and road closures total $14,128, excluding GST, and that includes the Civic Banner program. This partial fee waiver does not include the cost of the installation of banners, a direct cost incurred by council as it is provided by a third party. Road closures, I can go into it more detail maybe later, and that's the item, Lord Mayor.
Further discussion? Alderman Zuko.
Yes, Lord Mayor. I fully support what we're doing here. It's good to see that we've got an organisation that has stepped up to deliver an event at an appropriate time of the year that was much needed. There are quite a number of shipping containers clear as gates, Lord Mayor. Probably a lot of people don't realise. We might have somewhere around 10-ish or something like that. Shipping containers that we've got all odds and ends stored in there. Some items have been in there for years, Lord Mayor, and we just keep on leaving them in these shipping containers, to my point of view, at a waste. Mind you, if you can empty one shipping container and sell that shipping container, we'll get $6,000 for the shipping container alone. Probably the stuff inside of the shipping container is not even worth that. But Lord Mayor, when we've got so much stuff just stored in these containers, which is a collection of what I call some of it junk that we don't use, probably will never use in these containers, I think we need to do something about that as well. So I'd like to move an amendment, Lord Mayor, in point 4, that the CEO, I have started typing this out and I'll send it to Mr Jackson in a minute, that the CEO be delegated to evaluate all items in storage and in those storage containers and consider selling or on-selling any such items that are of no strategic value to the Hobart City Council. That should the CEO need to report to Council on any items for clarification, the CEO report back to Council on those items. Lord Mayor, I'm only making a point here. If those elected members that haven't been associated with the taste for as long as some of us have want to take a trip to Cleary's Gates and go through these containers, you'll get to know what I'm talking about. There could be probably some Pinot that's probably been in there for 10 years that we never sold. That's probably sitting in there. There's probably
With more now.
Yeah. I've got to say it wasn't very good Pinot at the time, and I've got to say I reckon it's probably good to use for red wine and vinegar. There are also containers and bits and pieces. We're just sitting. It's just sitting there in storage, and as I'm saying, we can just clean it up. The CEO can get someone onto it and start looking at it. If there's anything there that the CEO is not quite sure about, part 2 of the motion, come back to us and see. But the other point I just want to make, and the CEO can take this on board, I don't want to put it as part of the motion. You never know, Lord Mayor. There could be some things that are probably could be utilised by an organisation like City Mission or someone like that. I know the organisers of the Taste could probably even give them a space somewhere at the Taste. I would say that if you spoke to them, as I said, I don't want it as part of the motion. I'm just putting it out as information. You could probably there could be some stuff there that could be on sold by someone like City Mission, but there'd be no real value for us to try and sell it, because I assure you, if we tried to sell it, it'll probably cost us more to try and sell it than what we get in return. But I'll put those 2 parts of the motion. The other part was just information for the CEO to give consideration to.
Further discussion? Oh, that's seconded by Alderman Barkas. Discussion on the amendment or the motion?
Look, I'll talk to the motion and then tail off with the amendment. The main game tonight is supporting council's in-kind support for the Taste of Summer Festival, and I'm supportive of this. I think the council's being very generous, and the relationship that the council has developed with the promoters of this, or the team that's putting on this festival, I think is really strong. That's the impression I got from the presentation that we had at what's the committee called? The Community Culture Events Committee the other week. It was a very good presentation. And what came across strongly was their appreciation to the council for helping them along the way. The expertise, the guidance that the council officers have been able to provide has been invaluable to them. They also acknowledged the good work that council has done over the years with the taste, and how we've been really strongly behind the food culture, and how we've been supportive of the stalls there and the Tasmanian nature of it all, and how we've also been very supportive of the arts, how we make sure that we employ hundreds of artists throughout the Taste Festival that are all Tasmanians, and they assured us that they'll be sticking with that tradition, that it's all local produce, that the performers will all be local performers as well. And I'm really excited to hear that from them, and I deeply appreciate that they so appreciate the efforts that council has made over a number of years. So I'm fully supportive of the motion here tonight. And when it comes to the containers, I'm curious to see what's in the containers. I assume a lot of those containers will be, a lot of the content will get used at this new Taste of Summer, and maybe there might be a couple of boxes of those tea towels that we had from a few years ago that we all got one of. Remember the tea towels, Alderman Zuko? I've still got mine.
I assure you there's a lot of junk in there.
So I'd be curious to see what stuff's in there, and some of it could be verging on heritage now from the very first taste. So I urge no garage sale until we fully understand what the cultural value of a lot of this stuff is,
Cultural value, yeah.
So fully support the motion, and I'm happy to support the amendment.
Alderman Barakis.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I support both the motion and the amendment. I think this is a transitionary time for the taste, and hopefully a successful taste with our support this year will be a sign of long term and good things to come for the taste into the future. And what better time than a transitional time to go through all of our cupboards, so to speak, and do a bit of spring cleaning. And I think, just off the back of what Councillor Harvey said, I think we better check all that stuff before it does get heritage listed, because then we won't be able to touch it.
Deputy Lord Mayor.
Yes, just a question through you to the CEO, just in relation to our commitment, obviously this year with this transition to a consortium-based taste or summer festival. What sort of financial commitment have we considered into the following years in relation to supporting this event?
Through you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Lord Mayor, for the question. Look, at this stage there has been no commitment made, and that's certainly something that would need to be the subject of a further council report, which is in fact one of those outstanding matters for which a report will be prepared for council following the Taste of Summer event. That will include both an evaluation of that model and also a recommendation as to council's ongoing role or otherwise in relation to the Taste of Summer. I think, Lord Mayor, it's important to note that, events at the moment are a really watch this space arrangement, given the COVID environment and also the sorts of restrictions that are applying to events as a result of COVID safety. We are in a different environment now to what we were initially when Council considered that report earlier in the year. So I think in terms of timing, Lord Mayor, it's appropriate that we see how this event goes and then put together a comprehensive sort of evaluation and also a next steps report in regards to Council's role. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a really good answer, because we are in that changing environment. Whether we do commit such large amounts of funds in the next iteration will be interesting discussion, obviously a budgetary discussion when we get to that point in the new year. As to the amendment, I support the amendment. I think that if Alderman Zuko would be, I'm not sure if you suggested that it comes back to us after the CEO's had a look at it, because I'm quite happy for the CEO to just get on with that.
It's two-part. First part, to delegate and evaluate all items and consider those items no longer needed, required,
Yep.
and that the CEO consider on selling the unused shipping containers because they're no use to us. But then the CEO report should report back to council should the need arise. In other words, there could be some stuff there that she has to find out. But if there's only 2 tea towels left, she can sell them.
Yeah, look,
Not the Pinot, though.
yes, as long as it, like it's not coming back.
Pinot's only vinegar.
It's
Sorry.
not coming back for another discussion or another go at it, and I think that's a good use of what might be of value to somebody else and not us. Yes,
$60,000 shipping containers there.
particularly in containers. Yep.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Did you want to, Councillor Dutta?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Now, I remember this debate when it first started with regards to the gloom and doom when we said we were not going to do it. And I'm so thrilled that that decision was maybe a wise decision for someone else to take it up and to do this. And I want to give credit to our staff for their experience, their expertise, and the professionalism in this whole thing, and the way we have supported this summer festival. And I think that is, the amount there may be a lot more when you consider the fact that staff, they have already given their time since August to give them advice, etc., etc. So I think this is a very good move, and the government itself came on board to support this. So I think I would support this totally. Thank you.
Councillor Sherlock, did you want to sum up at all?
Oh, no, Lord Mayor, thank you.
All right. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
The amendment, Lord Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Amendment. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Against say no. Carried unanimously. I'll put the substantive motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
All those against say no. Carried unanimously. Item 16 is the Parks and Recreation Committee. Alderman Briscoe.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I move the motion that's on the books.
Seconded by Councillor Sherlock.
I know in particular Councillor Coates has taken a particular interest in this item. Petitioners have been seeking a sum. Petition was presented to the council in October, seeking a sum of $16,000 to do some installate a tree root banner to restrict roots from a heritage cedar tree adjacent to the tennis court 17 at the Domain Tennis Centre. The tree itself, it appears to have been planted about 1880 in the 1880s and represent where the original alignment of one road up there was. So it is a pretty important tree, although I know Councillor Coates and I looked at it the other day and we didn't think it had much merit aesthetically, but like the rest of us getting old, we have other values, including wisdom.
Sometimes.
And one other.
Tolerance.
And tolerance for the youngsters. So we have the City of Hobart has a lease with the Domain Tennis Centre, and the lease commenced in 2012. The lease provides for a $1 per annum fee, and the council, if it requests it to be paid, so we haven't sought that $1. But since 2012, an annual grant for the maintenance of the tennis facility in the order of $47,000, and we've just recently approved for the next year. So the councils have met with the Domain Tennis Centre and obtained a quote for the installation of a root barrier, because essentially the root from this old venerable tree has lifted some of the court up, but the court itself is in poor shape anyway, so it's not the only thing that needs doing at that court. And the council officer obtained a quote for the installation of a root barrier with the cost of $3,630. So it's proposed now that an ex gratia payment of $3,630 be provided to enable the root barrier installation to be undertaken when the Domain Tennis Centre undertakes planned works to resurface courts 17 and 18. And I believe, I think talking to the secretary up there, one of those courts is anticipated to be used for handicap tennis, or people with handicaps to use that tennis court. So I imagine there'll be a lot of venues to secure external grant funding. So the council will continue to provide assistance to the Domain Tennis Centre for future applications to secure external grant funding. So this is the first time in my career that we've managed to, what they've asked for was $16,000 to do a job, and we've managed to get a council quote, or a quote that's for a bit over, nearly $4,000, a lot cheaper than what they anticipated it was going to cost. So I recommend the motion to council.
Further discussion? Alderman Baracus.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Just very briefly, a little while ago I was invited to visit and tour around the tennis centre and was shown the routes in question, and I can vouch for the fact that they are definitely in need of being addressed. If this is what the council, what they need from the council to ensure that the centre's a up to standard venue for local tennis, and I think it's a great thing. So I'd commend this.
No further discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Against say no. Carried unanimously. Item 17 is a special report from the CEO. CEO, would you like to speak to your report?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Just a quick introduction for completeness, Lord Mayor. This is really just a status report on the COVID business support package that Council resolved on as a result of a supplementary item that I presented earlier this year. Essentially, it was really around supporting businesses during this sort of phase of border closures and ensuring that we were able to do a range of things to sort of promote shopping local, promoting access and shopping into the CBD, also the waterfront precinct, North Hobart and other key areas across Hobart City. So you'll see there just an update, Lord Mayor, including in regards to the support that's been provided by Council to Salamanca Market during these difficult times. We are looking forward to the borders opening on the 15th of December. So future work, Lord Mayor, in regards to COVID recovery, COVID response more generally, will be framed once the outcomes of border openings are known. And my suggestion is that will really be sort of a report or an update through to Council within the first couple of weeks of the borders opening, and we'll continue to keep a watching brief on that early into the new year. Those round tables, Lord Mayor, that I spoke to yourself and a number of elected members about, that I was proposing to facilitate with key industry groups, will now be held over until early in the new year. And again, Lord Mayor, that's as a result of the change that's likely to come as a result of the border openings and return, hopefully, to a new normal with tourists and other visitors returning to the City of Hobart, Lord Mayor. So it's anticipated that they'll be run in the first part of 2022. And again, just as a reminder, Lord Mayor, that is intended to include all sort of business and commerce sectors, as well as creative industries and some of our key community service organisations as well, just to ensure that we've got a comprehensive economic development strategy moving forward and a COVID recovery plan that also supports that. You'll also note some of the marketing and communications activities we've undertaken, both for the CBD and also some of our key activity centres within the City of Hobart, Lord Mayor. Thank you.
Lord Mayor, I'm happy to move that, but I have a question, and again, there seems to be a bit of a theme of my questioning today, but just in relation to the cost to Council so far, and have we expended all of the monies that we've set aside? Like how are we tracking from a budget perspective with these initiatives?
Through you, Lord Mayor, I'd need to provide that level of detail in writing once we do check those figures. We did allocate, from memory, I think it was 100,000 in the last iteration of funding support. I can say with absolute certainty that we haven't expended that full amount. In fact, most of the activity so far has gone into some of the marketing work and also some immediate support for some businesses that are experiencing financial stress. And you'll see there in that report that we do have 2 applications currently being assessed, and we've also had the business grants go out as well. So happy to provide that to you via email, but we do still have some left of that 100,000 that was allocated previously, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Just to finish, thank you for that response, and I look forward to seeing that breakdown. I think it's really because we are such a diverse business sector, if you like, and because of the impacts of COVID, it is so important that we as a council are looking at those creative industries and the arts, which have those members of that sector have really suffered over COVID. So I'm glad that that's up front and centre as part of our recovery response as well.
Further discussion? I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Against say no. Carried unanimously. That brings to a close the open portion of our meeting. If someone would like to move, Deputy Lord Mayor, seconded by Alderman Barakis, that we move into the closed portion. All those in favour of doing that say aye. Against say no. Carried unanimously.